If you ever looked into going to Japan, there's a high probability that you've stumbled across EF, which is a language program that offers housing, lessons, activities of which some are free, all in one. I have done a 5-month program myself, so in this video I will give you a detailed review about what my experience was and whether it was worth it, so you can decide for yourself whether you want to participate in the program. But first, we have a parasocial relationship now, and what parasocial friends do is they subscribe. No, but anyways, please watch the whole video because in some regards I am very negative and in other parts I am very positive. So if you want to have a healthy expectation, at least try to watch the part that you are specifically concerned about so you know what to. I will talk about 5 different subjects. The first one is the actual lessons, the content, the housing, the activities that you can do, the social aspect, and last, of course, the finances. I will add timestamps for all of them, so if you are curious about a specific subject, jump over or click or... But before we start about anything, I need to give a very quick disclaimer, which is that any criticism given in this video is in no way directed to the staff that works at EF. Every employee I met at EF was kind, patient, competent, and made my stay a warm, nice, and welcoming experience. So if I criticize something, it's not the employees, but specifically that thing alone. Also, my stay was almost 1.5 years ago, so some things might be a little bit different, but I have kept that in mind when writing this script. Okay, so the first category is the lessons, and I want you to ask yourself, how serious are you in studying Japanese? Because as someone who is pretty much as serious as can be with my certain circumstances, I would hate to break it to you, but EF would be a waste of time. The friends I've met at EF though, who started at 0, they did pick up the language very fast because they will give you like the basics, the fundamentals, the most important kanji, and they will give you a direction. So in that way, when you start at 0, it's great for picking up the language fast in a basic manner. But if you are already past the basics, then going to EF isn't really going to offer you something unique. Because you have already proven to yourself that you have the willpower to continue and have commitment. And past that point, yeah, a teacher can tell you, oh, this kanji means that, but you can also just look it up online. And you have to do that more than 2,000 times with that many different kanji. So paying to like follow the pace of the lessons isn't really going to offer you anything that is worth it for your time, I would say. And this is not a problem with EF. This is more like the essence of language learning. It's just a lot of head in the books and going through it. But there was one thing that I really hated about EF, which were the effective projects. So basically you just present a topic and you learn by speaking and writing. And this works in theory, but in practice, if you listen to 6 to 7 students talking in broken Japanese, you are not going to learn anything as the listener, and therefore you completely waste your time. If you use that time to practice by yourself, then you would accomplish a lot more. And I really disliked the effective projects. And I'm sorry, teacher, for being a drag about it. And don't get me started about the textbooks, because they are the worst one I have ever used. And I've used many textbooks. The reason why is because it's in Japanese. How am I going to learn Japanese in Japanese if I don't speak Japanese? It's I never understood why the books were in Japanese. I never used them, so it's completely waste of paper, waste of money. And I hope they have changed that now and realized that it doesn't work like that. And for people who are saying like, oh yeah, the exposure is what's good, Japanese is different because if you don't know the kanji, you can't read the kanji. You can literally not try to understand it. It's not like Spanish and French where there are like some similarities and you can kind of get the gist of it. No, if you don't know the kanji, you literally can't start to understand it. So yeah, textbooks. So conclusion, if you are a beginner, it's great. If you are past the beginner phase, don't start. Don't expect to learn anything new because you can just keep studying by yourself. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the housing. EF gives you 2 options, which is to either stay at a Japanese family, which is very nice, or you can stay at a residence, which is either a shared room or a private room. I personally chose for a private room, but I have talked to many friends that I've met there who had other experiences with either a shared room or the family. So let's start with the host family. This option is great if you want to practice with natives on a daily basis. But the problem is you have a little bit less privacy because you always share a room with a roommate and you are in someone else's house, which is also sometimes not really nice. And you have the risk that you maybe might not match with the host family. We've had a few cases when I was at EF where the host family and the student got into a fight and they had to move to another host family. EF usually really sufficiently reacted on this situation, so there are no complaints on that side. They really do care about that the students are in a good environment that matches with the host family. Me personally, I was at a social residency, and at the social residency you either had the option to have a roommate or have a private room. And boy am I happy that I chose a private room, because there were a lot of complaints about your roommate either snoring or even worse, smelling. They had no personal hygiene at all, and I have heard a lot of horror stories regarding that. The residency itself is really great because you live together, or you have your own room, but you share the living room and the kitchen, and there are a lot of Japanese natives and also other EF students, so it was really a warm meeting place to chill out and have some fun. So in conclusion, if you are extroverted and you want to make the most out of the time that you have, you might not stay there for long and you want to practice Japanese as much as you can, go for the host family, because generally like you get to talk with natives on a daily basis, and that's great. If you are staying for longer, then you might really want to like minimize risks, and the way you can do that is by getting a private room. It also costs a little bit more, but in my opinion it was really worth it. Or either go to a residency with another student as a roommate. So let's talk about the activities. EF organizes activities ranging from normal cafe visits to weekend trips to Hiroshima, for example, or ski trips, which I heard were really fun. This really depends on the person if you want to go, but I personally didn't go to any of them because I was either already doing it with a friend outside of like EF's chosen time, or they were just way too expensive. I went to the weekend trip of Hiroshima on the second weekend when I didn't know anything about Japan and how everything worked. And looking back on it, I probably could have saved half the money if I were to plan it myself. But there is value in it, which is that probably if you're underage, because under 20 in Japan, then you aren't allowed to be outside at a certain time, maybe not fix other things by yourself. So if you are underage, then I think it does really have value. So with that out of the way, let's go to the social aspect. And this is honestly like the meat and potatoes of this whole video, because spoiler alert, despite any criticism I have given at EF, this probably has been one of the best experiences of my life. And the reason for that is EF, or at least EF Tokyo, they really do know their audience. I am a nerd. I love anime, I love video games, I love manga, whatever. And almost everybody there has the same interest. And I'm talking about hundreds of people, of which maybe 5 that I personally hang out with didn't really have any affiliation with that medium before going to Japan. It's really, really crazy. And to go to a school where everybody is in at least that way like-minded, where you can openly express your interest for such topics in a world where we are very oppressed generally. It gives room to develop really meaningful relationships with people who share your passions and interests, and explore the city together in a way that wouldn't otherwise be possible if you were to go alone. And I've seen still like people on Instagram visiting other people in different countries and still maintaining those friendships and sometimes even relationships. And in that way, EF really has something special. I want to share one core memory with everybody. I'm just going to show it. So get away, I know I feel like you do yourself. Like my thoughts when thinking about this memory is, what are the odds? So you watch this anime at home, it's very emotional, and that song, you probably have listened to it a lot in your own time, and you think it's a great song, but you would never expect to eventually be singing it on a highway in Tokyo with a friend that lives in America while you live in the Netherlands, that you met in Japan, which is in a completely different place. And it's just all these things coming together, causing a very like funny, small yet really important memory. And I have a lot more like those. It's like those things that shouldn't be special but are just so special. And thanks to EF, I got to get many of those memories. Which brings me to the last category, which is finances. So this really depends on the person, on the individual. And I also think this is one of the reasons why I've been so critical during of EF, because about 95% of the people who go there have their parents pay for it. And I've paid for it myself. And if you want to go there for 5 months, it will cost you about a year's salary of Dutch standards, which is a lot. And if you pay that money, you have high expectations. You want that money to be worth it. And that is probably one of the reasons why I am so critical. In terms of affordability, I would say that for the West, and I would say like Europe or America, Japan is generally a very affordable country because of the strong dollar and the strong euro relatively to the yen. But there are options for everything. Like you can either live off of company food, stay at the host family and they pay food for you, or you can go eat out and pay a lot more every day. I did remember that quite a lot of younger people had a lot of money problems and they couldn't afford stuff and were a little bit, but I'm not sure if that's more because of their age or whatever. But I do recommend, of course, saving a lot of money for it and really deciding which kind of bracket you want to live your life there. Because if you want to live cheaply, you can do it. If you want to enjoy more things, try more things or whatever, it's of course going to cost you. So save your money for that. So conclusion, if you want to go to Japan, experience the culture and have a social life and do a lot of fun stuff, EF is perfect. I couldn't recommend it enough. But if you really only care about the language and you want to study it and get better and do it in as least time as possible, stay away from EF because they are not going to be able to give it to you. And as I said before, that's not because of EF, but it's just the nature of language learning. Like past a certain point, you can better just study by yourself and be way more efficient than follow the class and the lessons, because you have to keep the pace of the group and not the pace of yourself. And if you study by yourself, it's almost always faster than if you study with a group. So yeah, there is, however, one recommendation I can give to everybody, which is don't ever choose the package of extra spin classes. Spin classes, I was sold on the idea that you will get more exposure to the language and therefore learn it faster and study more and whatever. But in reality, all those lessons were a complete waste of time and a complete waste of money. Because it isn't extra exposure to the language. It's often games or like watching media and trying to differentiate some words, or like a funny onomatopoeia that you forget the next day. And it's all together with students who are of different levels, so you need to like get to the lowest level of the student that you are working together with. No offense to them or hate or them or whatever, but it's just a waste of time and a waste of money. And I honestly felt a little bit scammed in the way they presented it and the reality of it. But if anything that I've said has been of any value to you, I'm gonna say it. Please consider liking and subscribing. It helps me out a lot because I think I might be making more videos regarding my life in Japan, how it has been. And as you can probably see on the channel, I am studying Japanese as much as I can. And if you are studying as well, let's do this together. It will be a lot of fun. Thank you.